Ready to get a sound check here, visual check. Trade ideas, live Q&A, 3:30 Eastern. Alrighty, so open forum here. All are welcome. Fire away questions for me. As per usual, I never come with any pre-done content. Leave it up to you to all kind of generate the content. Of course, as always, I will try to keep it interesting, keep it moving forward. And if anybody likes to chime in on the questions panel, just make sure my audio and my video is good. Turn down the mic just a little bit, I think. Let's see how that works. All right. So as usual, always an interesting day in the market, Fed day. That always makes it fun. Always have to manage accordingly for things like that. I will save a tour around for a market recap over the next few minutes. We're, let's see, about just inside 29 minutes before the market close. We'll do that a little closer to market close going into after the close. No, I do not own Zillow shares. It's I don't trade stocks that high priced at this current time in my trading career. An ugly couple of days for them, though. I guess there's some news about they didn't do well flipping houses. Apparently, they didn't get the memo from 2008 that that's a terrible idea to do. But, you know, whatever. Those who don't study history are doomed to bang their head against concrete sidewalks for the rest of their lives. That's kind of how it goes. You know, not a comment on whether or not you can or can't flip houses in general, but it doesn't seem to be a business that's easy to do. And like everything else, if it was easy, everybody would do it. That's the bottom line. So, thus is the way of life. So again, you know, if anybody has any questions here, it is an open forum. I'm trying to give a couple of minutes for people to pile in. Trade Ideas software, so I do a live Q&A here, demonstrations. If you want to see something demonstrated with the software, you have a question about our capabilities, what we can, can't do, things like that. That's what I'm here for. I didn't read all of it, but I would surmise as much that they just thought they were going to buy up a bunch of real estate, not do anything and not know anything about it, and then just sell it at a profit. And that's not how flipping houses work. But it is what it is. Alrighty, so don't see any real questions coming in. So it's I don't know. Let's dive into a few things here. What's there to look at? Let's see. We'll start with Holly here and bring over a drawing tool. I'll be honest, I didn't look too much at Holly. I started to try to look at her to prepare myself in case we discussed her today, and then couldn't. But to give myself a pat on the back here, I don't really short stocks in general, and I didn't today. However, there's a discussion going on earlier this morning before the market opened about what might be an all-day short like Chegg was yesterday. And, you know, Barry had thrown out a couple of stocks, and I said that, you know, this very well may be an all-day short as well. I said that about 9:15 this morning, Eastern time, and, well, here we are. Just an all-day short. Easy peasy on that one. Holly here, she makes a call on this candle here. So, in theory, that would be a tough one to short just because of the uptick rule. You know, you're looking... You know, around here, you're already at 25, just a 24% down. And for those that don't know, uptick rule, if you're down 10% on a stock, you can't just go right in at the bid to get the fill. So, anyways, with that said, you know, market mechanics at play. Holly gets the entry signal here, and it's coming off of a green bar ignore on the 15-minute chart, and just a nice release here. She does get herself out here on a profit save on that bar that was up. And again, you know, I always think man and machine, best management of trades. Might have been something that if you were holding, maybe you sell some here and you moved your stop down here. Maybe you didn't even like Holly's stop that was way up here. Maybe you were using a stop that was, right around the entrance or at the prior 15-minute bars low. All viable things that people do for different stops. And you might have held on to a piece for a little bit to see if you could get more. We could see that maybe the buyers are trying to recover the stock a little bit, the dip buyers. And then you'd want to get out the rest here. But how you want to manage that trade's up to you. But just a nice call from Holly. Getting in, yes, you'd had to do a little work to get in on that. But that was clear as day in the pre-market that was about to happen on this here. Move around here. Let's look at a loser because I like to be as unbiased as possible. We show winners, we show losers. So we got GKOS. That's going to be an earnings play going into tomorrow. Possibly some other news, I suppose, that's going on here. So you get this big gap up, pushing the spring. My guess is what Holly's seeing here is this pullback here and trying to push that spring higher, if you will. But unfortunately, it was not to be had. Buyers and sellers become equal in this range here before it just rolls back over. Now, from my own perspective, trading, see an entrance this early on a stock that is gapped up that much and is sitting this far away from the moving averages. The 5 is just trying to catch up here. Be kind of a rush to enter for me. Realistically, you might have wanted to try to enter in here, I suppose, but at this point, you start to become really range bound here. There's no real edge for entering. So, from my own perspective, not a great entry, but the algo sees what the algo sees, and that's how it works. She can't see all the components that we're seeing as traders. She sees what she's programmed to see and what she was optimized and back tested to see in that. So, all right, I see some questions coming in. Let's dive into those. I agree, Chris. Quickest way to manage Holly trades, like click and cancel order, then set a new stop loss. It takes a while. Is there a quicker way? No, your quickest way or your best way or your only way. Bring over Brokerage Plus here. It's just going to be here in the orders tab. That's your real option. Obviously, I'm not going to have anything in here because all right, these are just things that I was experimenting with. But whatever the orders are that are in here, that's what you have to work with. There's no hotkeys or anything like that. So you have to work with what's in here, what's off of here. So if you have the positions here, come here fast, highlight whatever orders. If you want to cancel a bunch of orders, click, highlight, cancel, done. You're going to be canceled. You come back to here, select each individual position, make sure you have your account selected, and start to give those, your selected target or anything like that. So, for example, let's just say we got this here. Let's buy a share of that. All right, so now, I can right click. I can add a stop. I can add a time stop. I can add a target. So, put the new target in, 1755 if I want. Boom, there's a target. It's going to populate up here. And it executed actually right away. So that's what we have for that. Is there a news panel for stock that does if no news panel? I mean, your only news is going to be this here. It's a Google API that brings that in. So you got that here, or you can always right click and you can right click and go to send to, and you send to web. It'll give you this here. I have it linked to go to Yahoo, and you can check out some news there. And that's the best way to do that. Those are the best 2 ways to do as far as news goes. Sorry, I'm going to take a screenshot here of some things. So, and again, if anybody has questions, please fire them away for me here. no other questions. So just my last thoughts on this here. You get a stock like this, like I said, you get this massive gap up. You got earnings on the horizon. You get range bound, and you don't look like you're breaking that range. In my personal opinion, there'd be no reason to enter a stock like this. Not looking like that. So, like I said, the algo back test, the way the algo back test, it doesn't change live. Each night she goes in the hopper, she does thousands and thousands of simulations to optimize and back test based on things that happened today, and tries to come with the best prepared for the next day. So, winners and losers, there's no guarantees in anything, and hence the name Trade Ideas, not trade guarantees. So we showed a loser, we showed a couple losers. Let's take a look at a winner. MFGP. This would have been one that you had to take a larger share size. However, if we look at the range of the stock, we're not exactly jumping all over the place. Very tight ranges intraday on all these bars, few exceptions. And you got a larger bar here, got a larger bar here, got a few medium-sized ones here, but in general, you can see very, very small, tight ranges within here. All right, so we know the stock has more or less a personality that's doing something like that anyways. Early signal on Holly coming into this bar here. And, slight range bound that's there. We touch the entry level before making a nice move up, and we kind of just held that the rest of the day. So there's a little bit of time to try to get into this here. Perhaps we wait around. We see that it comes back here. Maybe we'd set a price alert to try to break through that level again before eking out a couple of pennies there. And again, looking at the tight ranges that this has and the way it gaps around, we can see there's a personality to the stock, and we manage accordingly to that. Sometimes, I have personal stocks that I just have on do not trade lists due to those funky personalities and the way they kind of whip around. You always want to keep things like that in mind when we're looking at these different alerts here. But nice entry from the AI here. You were never in pain if you were taking it, within those couple of minutes of that entry right there. This bar here, another 15, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You starts to get away from me here as far as that short few pennies move that's up there. And that's the way that one shakes out. AMC, tale of two tapes on this one for winners and losers. So strong stock pulling back. We get the entry here on this pullback. Bang, bang up real fast, okay? We know it's a meme stock. We know Wall Street bets, the apes, all these things like that. So if this is something that you were looking to jump in these bars here, and when you got that fast profit moving that many dollars, that many percent, that quickly, you got to be nimble on a stock like this. If you're trading anything like that, doesn't matter if the alert's come from Holly or if it's coming from your sister-in-law. These stocks move fast. Watch the times and sales of these stocks, especially early on in the day. They're whipping all over the place. And when a stock that's had this much action has a 2 relative volume going into the end of the day like this, you know that there's some serious volume that's involved in it early in the day. And you can see that right here on these volume bars. So a nimble one, but a good alert all the same. Now, the reason I call it the tale of two tapes is in conservative mode, she leaves for a profit save. Somewhere in this bar here, I'm guessing somewhere on the lower side of that wick, unfortunately. That is what it is. Profit save is a profit save, and profit save is a trailing stop. The second part of the tape is the fact that in moderate, she comes down and gets stopped out here. And that's why you see this here as a max on that, as I share size in this window for $100 max loss based on the stop loss that's there. So that's kind of the short and skinny of Holly things today. If anybody has any other specific questions, Holly's, I circle back, but I'll leave it there for the day. It's kind of a mixed tape on her up and down. Let's see. I was looking at SWBI and clicked on it and I'm seeing related to stocks. So I was wondering, what it is because of the way this API works, anything that has keywords, it's going to bring that stuff in there. I don't know if SWBI must have had action if that's what we're talking about today. Take a look here. Smith & Wesson. Well, it's actually a nice looking chart. So yeah, unfortunately nothing there. We're trying to find a better news solution The issue is APIs and plugging us and them into each other and them functioning well in a way that we can push out to you all, that it works both for us and for you, us as a company and you as users. So unfortunately not as easy as we would like it to be. I like that very much on that chart. Like that setup right there to that move right there. We'll see how it all kind of works out. A nice trend on that. And I like that. I like that horseshoe up. That's for sure. So that's SWBI. Always interesting to see that. What else? What else can we comment on this one? So doing 2 1/3 times its relative volume right now. 1.1 mil shares traded today. So it's a pretty liquid day for it. Some other noteworthy things here: 9% short float, 17.6% short growth. So this thing starts to get moving. Could be a little fuel for that fire here. We gapped up to and now holding over the 50 SMA as well. So that's always fun for the bulls. Zoom in just a touch more, get a closer picture of some of this going on in here. All right, so you have the 8 EMAs now cross that 50, the 20s coming up to try to cross that 50. So real nice move that's there. Of course, you're going to have some resistance that's right there. Certainly some room to grind towards that, barring anything crazy happening. You just want to be careful too. Days like today, for example, it's a Fed day. This is what we got all day while everybody's waiting to hear the Fed say exactly what they've said for the last, I don't know, however many years before we get that. And, they're going to talk today and tomorrow and I don't know, the next day and jawbone and do whatever the Fed does. So, just be careful if you're trading things that are attached or you have positions that are really attached to these here, these indexes. Just, be aware of those things and how you're managing your trades and your risk. And again, I see people filtering in, filtering out. If anybody has questions, let me know, please. Demonstrate and Trade Ideas software here. So anything that you like demonstrated or discussed, happy to help build a template to an alert window, a top list, a multi, anything like that. So just let me know. Let's see. Let's take a dive here. Barry's option scanner. I always like to go through that here. Let's see if we had any gems from this today. Yesterday was a pretty solid day. This is looking pretty good here too. So let's see, 31 off the alert here on this. Never really gotten any pain off that alert. You had plenty of time to get in. We're at 670 now. Nice trend on the day for that. Plenty of volume, plenty of liquidity. You got 827 times its options volume. It's not 827 times. It would be 8.2 times its normal options volume there today. Just shy of 4 mil shares traded today. 3.6 on the relative volume. And it's very nice. Clearing some resistance here, it looks like. Moving into these next areas here. So we'll see what that looks like. Might be something you want to watch in the coming days. Definitely got volume, definitely got liquidity. It's had some action over the last few days as it extended. Extended is a relative term, so we'll see. Something to keep an eye on. Decent alert from there. Let's see. ICPT. And looks like we top ticked, unfortunately. So 2010. Moved up a little bit after that, but nothing crazy. Trying to reference, running into resistance that's right there. So one might even call that had been a double top back there. And again, looking at this alert, it comes in, you're real extended off the moving averages. You're still even pretty extended off that 5-minute chart with that 8 EMA there. So perhaps letting something come in and set it up. Like I said, there's a few pennies to be had on it. Topped out at around 2045, and the alert came in at 2010. So a little bit if you're nimble and quick on that. Let's see, 1225 here. This one much nicer. You get the alert here, and you get this time right here, moving all the way up, cracks over 13. We all know how whole numbers can play a role into the mentality of a stock, especially a newer issue that's like this. So definitely would want to be taking some profit, but there's some time to get in. All these green bars on the 5-minute chart. You got all this time on a 15-minute chart, getting in and getting out, managing that risk. So decent alert and idea generated there, 904. Not so much here. All right, you get the alert right in here on this bar right there. And you move all the way up in the 930s. So, bit of time here. Again, you're not getting wealthy off that, but you certainly could, certainly pay an electric bill with a trade like that. And again, I just keep kind of pounding home the table. If you guys have any questions, please fire them away for me here. Keep moving up the line, 323 on the alert here. Certainly no pain ever off this alert. You get a quick move, a 7-cent move up off that alert, and then a pullback just below the alert level, and then a slow grind the rest of the day. Big float on that stock, 460 mil. So it's not something that moves real big. And we can see here, even on these bigger bars, it's not a huge range that's going on anyway. So again, know your stock, know your personality, look at the whole picture of the chart. But all the same, decent idea generated, 773 CERS. Holly liked it too. And you were never in pain off that alert. So 773 somewhere up around here, it looks like. Closing positive on that. Holly looks all right on that. $8. All right. No happy accident. Ran right smack into that and then faded off of it. So massive amount of volume, doing 10 times its normal option volume there. 8 on the relative. Very liquid. 5.1 mil shares traded today. So we get the theme. Pretty decent stuff coming from Barry's scanner here today. A lot of decent ideas generated. Take a look at one or two more of these. 739 on this. Very nice. You get a nice move right off that, back and smack up into the $8 level. And we come back down here, touch around 710 or so. So you're never in pain if you didn't sell the whole thing, or even you held on through that. Move right back up pretty quickly back into the green again off that. So another solid alert. Pitney Bowls. This one just never dies. 775 on this. Basically top ticked it. You're never really in any pain off that alert. If you happen to fill around that alert price, but ran right into resistance there. So let's mark that up and put that right there. It's no coincidence that happened. Resistance, and resistance again. So if we're looking at the whole picture, not exactly an ideal place to get in, especially after you get this many. You get this green bar, and now you're a wick. Not really a great idea to jump in right there on a trader's eye. All right, so that's Barry's window there. Just checking in. Yeah, not at these electric bill prices. Yeah, it is what it is. We'll see how things shake out over the next few months. Hopefully, you're not running air conditioners this time of year if you're not somewhere that's doing that. And sorry, just catching up on some things that are going on here. And again, if you guys have questions, please fire them away for me. Like I said, I always do like when you guys are coming with the questions for me. All right, let's take a look here. Some of the stuff that I was looking at today. So anybody that's been in here knows that I manage this list. I'm testing some things out to see if I can ever make it to the land of automation. I curate this list, so this alert window only looks at the stocks that I tell it to look at, and then it has the stocks have to meet that criteria afterwards. Last few days, and it had been a bloodbath, really awful stuff. What I discussed is that a lot of these alerts were catching the top and pulling back and getting stopped out before moving on to recover again for the rest of the day. Haven't made any adjustments in it yet, kind of leaving it the way it is. So I thought I'd, go through and take a list. I really kind of cleaned things up today. I took some stuff out that had, been pulling a lot of those things and I felt like was extended. I pulled some of the energy plays that I had been looking at out. And so I don't know, we'll take a look at this. And the reason why I showcase this is some of what I stumbled with trade ideas. I feel like by sharing that might help other users. What I mean by that is I had too many alert windows going on, too many top lists going on, especially at the beginning and learning to trade and understanding market mechanics. And I was just running after my own tail all day long. And as I started to narrow down the data that came in and make it more quality data to the kind of setups that I was looking for, I found a lot more success in trading. Success, continues to steadily climb. Not setting the world on fire, but certainly paying some bills. And I took that a step further, not just narrowing down the amount of windows that I had, but narrowing what those windows look at. And so I attached this here to a symbols list, so it only looks at the stocks that I deem quality to look at by my eye. So just take a quick run through this and how it worked out today. And like I said, there's days where it works out, days where it doesn't, but get an alert at 27.21 here. Up here, nothing crazy about any of this. We're not extended. Wasn't any massive gap. Very liquid stock, and very nice move up for the rest of the day here. All right, ARRY, ARRY. Gonna find something similar here. Nothing crazy, nothing moved up. We're now forming a really great green red bar ignore here on the daily, so this might be something to continue in this move towards the top of that gap. But same thing, nice move off of that alert. All right, and so this comes by just narrowing. Now yesterday this was not a great list. It had some winners on it, but not the same. Here we get that kind of top tick looking. So at a 7-11, got the alert in here. Unfortunately, moved right up here, and that was the end of it right there. So never in any real pain technically off of that, but all the same, when you look at some different data that comes in now, we bang back down on 7, couldn't get past 7, still can't get past 7. When the market really ran after the Fed came in today, this stock just kind of did its own thing all on its own. We can see its relative volume, so we can see the stock is really kind of trading on its own. And again, look at the full picture. No happy accident that all just went down like that. So my idea was that it might be able to get through these resistance level and make a move up towards that $8 level. Couldn't do it today. So that's what I was looking for. Didn't happen. Now this one here, a little extended off this entry on this candle here. We pulled back into this level here before actually getting our nice move up. So, another example of, curating that data and what we're looking for. And again, what am I looking on this daily chart? I'm looking at all this here on this daily chart, and that if we could clear this, that I was pretty confident we could make a move up towards 20. All right. Sorry, just had to throw myself on mute for a moment there. FSR. Take a look what happened there. So same kind of theme. No massive gap up or anything like that. We get the entry signal here at 1773. Not bad. Makes a quick run up. Starts to pull back into moving averages and move up on the daily chart here. Move up on the intraday chart there. So, this is, like I said, this is how I kind of manage things. I'm looking for intraday ideas to manually trade myself through things like this. And I just think that when you start to get an eye for charts and you start to get a feel for what you're doing with charts, doing your homework at night, early in the morning before the market opens, this is a good way to put yourself in a very good position to succeed. Bigger picture, reason why I'm looking at this is, like I said, I like those kind of horseshoe patterns up, or those things that come into cup and handles and all that. So, keep the big picture on keep the big picture all together. You got your intraday pictures, on different time frames and what they can mean to the bigger picture that's here. So again, I'll pause if anybody has questions, the software or trading, they want to throw a chart at me. I always say, I'm not a charter market technician. I'm not, any expert. I'm not some big time stock picker or anything like that. I just, throw out my idea, what I see on the chart, what the moving average is, what a pivot line might look like. And from there, decide what it means to you. And ding, ding, ding. Market just closed about 20 seconds ago, give or take. Just looking at a few different things on some other screens. So we talked to strength alerts and not too shabby here. Really picked up some volume going into earnings here and for the post market. But nice play. I discussed this yesterday and how it looked the same as something else that I traded and had a little success from the strength alert. So we see that there. Here's one that was from a few weeks ago now. Whoops, PLU. So same pattern, doesn't line up on the chart exactly the way I wanted to, but we can see here, same idea. What I was seeing on PLYA, same thing that we saw here, and it could be a powerful pattern. You obviously want to be on the right side of it, especially when something's moved up this much that quick. But right from the trade idea strength alerts, and I'm not talking about from the channel itself that Michael does and sends out the email, but the alert window that those ideas actually come from, that full setup from that. So, all right, markets closed, Fed day. Let's dive around a little bit here. Take a look. The SPY, although I'm starting to pay attention to this less and less and starting to look at a few other things more and more. But again, another all-time high. Surprise, surprise. And there seems to be not much that can stop this. Obviously, at some point, we're going to get some sort of pullback again. How deep that pullback will be, anybody's guess is as good as anybody else's. I forgot today was a Fed day until about noon, to be honest. I said to myself, it's a really weird market today to be sitting like this in such a tight range for so long. Then, someone said, hey, it's a Fed day. I said, oh, okay. I forget those things. I don't know. We'll see what that means coming into the next day or two. Look at the Qs here. There's just not a lot to comment on these things, on these indexes right now, because are we extended? I don't know. Some of the stuff was range bound. We had the pullback. These pullbacks aren't exactly massive, 4, 5, 6, 7% pullbacks, technically not even really a correction. Haven't had one of those in a long time. So, these bigger picture things here, this is what we look at. And path of least resistance is up for now. And obviously you don't go straight up every day. You could say we're due for a pullback, but it doesn't mean anything. The diamonds, your Dow, this represents your Dow ETF. So all the same kind of stuff here. Again, another all-time high. Your small caps, we discussed this, that, we look like we take out all-time highs. We're really taking it out now. Really strong move on the IWM today, the Russell 2000 index. We start to really bust some levels here on that. I think this is a little more significant than looking at the SPY, the Q, or the diamonds. As you can see, it struggled for a long time going back to the beginning of the year. It made this move all into the beginning of the year, and then we just got stuck bouncing around. But I discussed, hit it again today as I have the last several live Q&As. We couldn't bust through this resistance on this last shot of it there, and it didn't come down and quite touch it there. So now we start to say, okay, do we develop higher lows? Now we're looking like we're developing higher lows. Now we really look like we're developing higher lows, and we really started to confirm it in these last three moves that are there on that daily chart. So IWM's real strong. Those are your small caps. And, one more index that was brought to my attention today. I'm going to have to try to commit this one to memory, see if I can find it here somewhere. IWMs. And we'll circle back on some of these indexes in a few moments here. There we go. MDY. So your mid-cap trust series. All right. So this is something that was just pointed out to me recently again, discussing what the real market is and not your really heavy weighted stuff, tech wise and things like that. As the SPY is so heavy tech weighted, obviously the Q is even more. And this busting out here like it has is really significant to me. And again, very range bound for a very long time. Mark this up. All right. So, in that range for a long time there, and now starting to really clear out of that again. So, will it shock me? We pull back into this, test this level, and chop around it? No. I mean, it seems reasonable. It seems normal before we make a move like that up. And that's, of course, barring some event that takes us down for whatever reason. Corrections are normal. They're healthy. We're just not seeing any of them for a long time. So make of that what you will. So that's kind of your index roundup. Again, take a pause here for a second. If anybody has questions, a scanner they want to see built or go over, filters they have questions about, an alert that they have a question about, anything like that. So just going to take a quick 15-second pause on that. Alrighty, so let's bust out the sector list here and give that snapshot, that position and range for the year here, and how strong that is with all the indexes. All right. Each one of these represents an ETF for a specific sector here. So your SMH represents your semiconductors. Your SOX represent your semiconductors. Your KRE represents your regional banks. Your REITs, cloud computing, your financials, overall picture of your financials, energy exploration. What else do we got that makes, your metals and mining, your natural gas, your airlines, okay, so on and so forth. TAN is going to be your solar stocks, all right? So we can take a snapshot at where everything is and why the overall market does look as healthy as it does. If you're a bull, anyways. And again, I always remind people, I'm neither a bear nor a bull. I don't care, yes, I want stocks to go up because people have 401ks and retirements. I want to see anybody get hurt like that. But my overall trading, it doesn't really much matter to me what direction the market moves. I prefer the market to trend one direction or the other, I suppose. That's easier than when it's chopping around and chopping everybody up. So put this back on sort from close here and just kind of take a dive around. So uranium back up, when you start to see these big gyrations, you get these pullbacks into the moving averages. So, here we get this big move up. We start to pull back to the mean. Also, no happy accident that level is a pullback level into. And we get a big jump up again. We get a pullback. And so now we can see we're starting to grind higher just like that with uranium. And that's kind of the short and skinny that happens on all that there. And, if you can remind yourself that in life, in general, in nature, whatever it is, we pull back to the mean. There's always a reversion to the mean. And while that mean can continue to climb, and what I mean by that is, so we've got this here, all right? We're not always going to pull back to this here, but these moving averages, as they adjust, these pivot lines will adjust. So, does this kind of come, that pivot line now, this kind of area that's in here that we're looking at? Time will tell. But I suspect that we'll grind higher from here, barring something coming out saying, no, we're never doing nuclear energy again or anything like that. That's our trend overall. That's what we're looking at for uranium. So that's where we stand with that if you're trading uranium stocks. Back to nat gas again. There seems to be, for me, a disconnect in nat gas stocks and nat gas. And while nat gas stocks are up overall, there's days when nat gas is up big itself in the index and the stocks are getting smacked around, and vice versa. So just to give you an example of what I see as far as that goes, let's look at yesterday. We have a gap up yesterday on nat gas here. We trended up the rest of the day, but nat gas stock that I watch, I follow a lot. This is what we have from that yesterday, and even more so today. That looks and represents nothing like what nat gas itself is doing. So just kind of odd to see things like that happen when they becomes a disconnect between nat gas, or becomes a disconnect between any sector and some stocks that are in it. So what does that mean? I have no idea, but I noticed it and I pay attention to it and I adjust things accordingly. This had been on my list for trading for a while, that automation list, and I pulled it off now because it just doesn't seem to be in sync with what's going on overall in that. You got your retails, super range bound for a super long time. I discussed last time we did this at this kind of level that this was kind of what I was seeing, and that if we couldn't hold in this level here, I thought we'd continue to do that. I said if we could hold here, I thought we would do that. That's what we did. I'll be honest, my bias was we were going to head this way on the retails. I was wrong. That's why my opinion doesn't matter at all. The charts are what matter. So that's what we're seeing. We're breaking a huge range here on the XRT on your retails. And it's certainly worth noting that, we made that big move up. We made this pullback. We made this move, and then we became range bound here, all right? And now we're taking all this out here, all right? So that's where we stand as far as retail goes. Again, anybody that knows me, I don't pay attention to the news. Do I know there's things going on in the news? Yes. Do I know people are talking about inflation? Probably. I go to the supermarket. I shop just like everybody else. I know that my cost of groceries has gone up a substantial amount in the last 4 months. I know that the cost of clothes, I have a kid, I buy clothes. I know that those costs have all gone up. How that translate over here, all I know is that this is what the charts tell me when it comes to that. Your banks have been strong. They've been a leader. I've discussed this ad nauseum over and over again. And the banks continue to do what the banks have been doing. Obviously, they like whatever the Fed says, whatever the Fed is doing. The Fed continues their game of liquidity and printing and monetizing the losses and privatizing the gains and whatever the Fed does. Get into all those things. But what I know is that for the banks, that means that the banks are making all-time highs again. And we can see how strong they are, and they continue to be leaders, not just there, but let's take a look. Where's your XLF? Can't be far behind somewhere. XLF, let's take a look at that. All right, so same thing here. Loved what the Fed said today, apparently. How do I know that? Because right here, let's watch this trend. We're moving down here. Almost look like we're trying to top out there. We're moving down here. The Fed opens their mouth, and that's exactly what we get. And of course, there's going to be some give back because you can't just go straight up. Well, you can, but not on an ETF like that. So again, your banks are one of your big leaders here that's in the market. Jets, your airlines, floundering around for the year. They're just about break even on the year, going all the way back to here. So we can see here is where we start the year. Sorry, my tool is really fighting with me here. When we start the year here, as far as the Jets go, we're just a hair up on that rate now. So, this is going to be attached to people being able to travel, countries opening borders, states opening, mandates, all these things like that. In the spring, obviously, it looked like things were a lot better. Here we are. We kind of flounder around through the summer as data comes out. Variants and blah, 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 all the talk and stuff like that. We take a crash down, and now people kind of don't know what direction travel is really going at this moment. So we'll just kind of see how that all shakes out. Range bound right now. It looked like it wanted to try to jump out of this range right here. Got a whoopsie. Now we're trying to fight back above that again. We zoom in closer short-term picture on this here. That 50, we're fighting with the 50 moving average right there. I will say a little bit of a bull case right here. You get this nice red bar ignore, strong go, pause, go. You got these averages fighting with each other. So looks like we're going to try to grind higher with the Jets, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure there's some kind of news that's out there that's got everybody fighting with each other because that's what it does. XBI. You got your biotechs. We've talked about this a lot. And it looks like they're trying to fight. We discussed this here, that getting above this 50 average, what it would mean for this, these levels that we start to take out. Looks very healthy, trying to fight and get out of that range here after this big run up back there. So I think, kind of starts to look like we're going to grind and fight higher on the bios. Metals and mining, I can't get this one figured out. I've struggled on this one. I think a lot of people do, these bills that are going to come out, and are we doing bridges and roads? Are we doing schools? Are we doing paid parent leave? What does infrastructure mean? For now, it means we're kind of flopping around because people don't know exactly what it means. We're going to flop around these areas here, I think, for now, until we get some kind of clear direction on who's doing what. And so those are kind of some approximation lines that I'm looking at for this range right now that we've been in since the beginning of summer or the end of the spring, whatever you want to call it. We looked like, yeah, we're getting infrastructure, and here we go. But what does infrastructure mean? It means this, it means that, it means this, it means that. It means we're range bound for right now. Looks like it's going to try to bump its head up here again. That's your line where you start to get bullish. Give you an infrastructure stock that I've been watching, or material stock, let's call it, that I've been watching. Got stopped out of this the other day. Of course, I was not happy about it, but it is what it is. I traded it once, I did well. I traded it twice, I got stopped out. But materials, this is where we're at. This is where I got stopped out. All right, and then it looks like, all right, well, it protected me my stop as usual, and then of course this happens afterwards. So now part of that is going to be your earnings. Obviously played a role in all that, but bigger picture, let's zoom it back out. And while this is a little more volatile than an ETF is going to look like, something similar where we kind of topped out through here and come back down all through here. So we'll see how that all plays as far as that goes. So let's see, we're at 416. You guys are awfully silent in here. Again, fire away a question for me. I like doing more software demonstration than going through these things. KBE, really same thing as the KRE, the XLF, all that. We covered the IWM. Really need to cover our regionals here as well. So, but look, finance, retail and finance go hand in hand. So make of that what you will. Not to have that many financial stocks sitting there at the top and their positions and ranges on the year, solid position range in the year on every single one of those. Finance is your leader. Well, let's dive down into some struggling guys here. KWeb, we discussed last several weeks about the KWeb, that this seemed to be a really big deal here. We started to make a move here. I said, I feel like it might be a false breakout, and so far it has been. Just really can't get itself going. KWeb is your Chinese internet stocks, and it's just one of those spots that have been beaten up all year long. Any of the directional filters? No, I like range and position and range filters for almost all my scanning exclusively at this point. I like to find things in ranges and that are going to move out of ranges. I like the 20-day range is what I personally use. Dan, that's just my 2 cents. So, but back to this, the KWeb, it doesn't show me any reason that it's going to do anything but what it's done. Is it's going to head lower from here? I don't know, but I don't think it's breaking out anytime soon unless something major changes or something major happens. MDY, just brought that to your attention again. I'll just talk about that again. This is a good index to look at for overall market strength, market health. So that MDY is something you're not watching. I suggest throwing it on there. I just did recently. Thought I'd share that with you all, your XLBs, your home builders. I'm sorry, back to materials, not home builders. So your materials here, this is more home builder material related, and we've seen the home builders have been strong overall recently, and we look like we're breaking out of a range here. Are we headed for a double top? Who knows, but I think we're headed higher in it. We'll grind that way. We can even do this here. That seems like an important line in the sand. Does this become resistance now? Does it come support now, or do we come back down and it becomes resistance again like it's been back here? We'll have to see. Time will tell. Your semiconductors, they just continue to be the darlings of everything in the long-term picture. I mean, even when they're not skyrocketing, they're moving up. I mean, there's just nothing bearish about that for so long. It's kind of odd at this point. I mean, you look at this trend that's all through here. I mean, just a rocket ship up off of COVID. Take a pause for a minute, but all through here. Higher lows, all through here. Even when it's not big, the higher lows, the higher highs, even more significant, all through this. You take a pause right through there. But just, look at that. And get yourself, this little tool that I use here to draw. It's free. Epic Pen. Google it. Get yourself a tool. Start drawing. There's no right or wrong with any of this. It's what are you looking at? What are you seeing? What are you thinking? That's all that matters. What is your eye seeing? It was one of the greatest things that someone ever said to me. Steve Gomez said to me one time. I asked him about a chart in a webinar that I was in several years ago. I said, what do you see here, Steve? And he said, what do you see there, Chris? And then he went on to answer what he saw, but him just throwing it out there, what do you see? Started to make a big difference in what I see on charts, start to break things down a little bit more. Let's see, is there anything else really interesting to cover here? The solars started to break out. So let's jump back on the solars and see what happened with this breakout. So, all right, they broke out. What do I mean they broke out? This is what I mean they broke out. They're in this range for a long time. Going all the way back here into the spring. One underneath, couldn't get up. One underneath, couldn't get up. Pulled really down, couldn't get back up. And kind of floundered around here. Now, they pulled back out. They pulled up, blasted out. We moved up. We pull back. And does this become support now? Does it become a whoopsie here, as I like to call it? And we move back under and it becomes resistance again. Let's see. Position and range for the year. Solars are just about where they started the year. So they're not strong. All right. And is it a false breakout? Very well could be. Is it just a pause and rest? Also very well could be. But we look at things like this and we put ourselves in a position to give ourselves the best opportunity moving forward on any solar stocks that we're looking at, if we're looking at solar stocks. Just taking a look here, some things that have been darlings for a while. These are your shippers. Just gave it up. Shippers have just absolutely gave it up over the last few weeks here. Here are those drawings. So we can see here, some nice moves from the shippers here, really exploding off of all that, and just wow after that. I would always say, at least for myself anyways, I tell myself, stay away from things that there's a lot of political talk and news and things like that. We all know that there's this whole shipping crisis going on and containers are stuck, and, shipping went from, I don't know, it was like $5,000 a container to $25,000 a container, and a lot of baggage there to unpack. And so kind of be careful, tread carefully with the shippers. GSL is a shipper I've been watching on and off for a while. And so this has a disconnect compared to that sector. And so we talked about disconnects. And so this is trading on its own. I have actually not traded it. I have missed out every time that I've wanted to be in it. But I missed out as a winner and I missed out as a loser. I liked it back here. I missed out on some of that. I also liked it here and I missed out on that too. So, cuts both ways missing out. Fortunately, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Was that a double top? Can we not poke through here? Now we start to make lower highs. Time will tell. I do like this right here, that red bar, ignore on all that. I don't like that it couldn't get through 25 and hold it once again. So we'll see how that plays. Oddly enough, I'm not sure how that came off of my light symbols. That's odd. I must have did that by accident one of these days. So those that don't know, we have this liked feature here on the charts. You click the heart. It goes on a symbols list for you. I have a top list that looks just at my liked stocks only here. And so all this does is just looks at all the stocks that I have in my life, and I sort it by change from close, and that's what it looks at. So every one of these symbols on here, I've clicked the heart on the chart at some point for some reason. And just another way that I like to filter in data and watch things throughout the days, weeks, and months. So let's see, we're 25 past the hour. We remain awfully silent in the questions panel. And, when I started this, I guess, going over a month now, I wanted to do it as an open forum for Q&A, get people some education on the software. I can see that, we're kind of trending towards just whatever I'm bringing to the table each day. So maybe I try to, in the next week coming, maybe I prepare a little something on a few different days, maybe dive into some back testing, some optimizing, some building of scans, some ideas that I've had, and we kind of work through some stuff together. And it give me an opportunity to maybe work on some things that I've thought about while teaching at the same time. So maybe that's something that we do moving forward here. I get into back testing holes and optimizing holes, and I've had some thoughts about some stuff that I want to try to build. Like anybody else, I'd love to come up with a quote unquote magic scan for automation. It would be nice to have a set of scans that you can press play and have those work while you're doing other stuff around the desk. Anybody that knows me knows that I am not I'm not a press play and walk away automation person. It's a free country. You pay for a subscription. It's your brokerage account, your money, all those things like that. If you want to automate and you want to press play and run out to the bank, play around the golf, head to lunch, come back and see what the brokerage account looks like afterwards, by all means, you're more than welcome to do it. Not something I would consider doing, but that's up to every individual. But I would press play on a strategy that I felt very comfortable with while I was around the house, sitting at the desk, doing other charting work, maybe doing other manual trading, and watching what that strategy did. So just a quick passing thought and automation there. So all right, 427, I'm going to kind of give you all the going once, going twice auctioneers moment here. If anybody has questions or something last minute they want to look at, they got a thought on, they have a passing moment that they want to share with us something, chime it in on the questions box, otherwise I'll get to wind it down here. And as always, for anybody that's kind of new to this, popping in, popping out, I do this every day at 3:30 Eastern. I will not actually be here this Friday. Personal note, I am running the New York City Marathon on Sunday. So it's marathon weekend coming up. I am taking a personal day on Friday, so I will not be here. I don't think there will be a live Q&A that day, so you're on your own for Friday. But aside from that, 3:30 Eastern every day I do this live Q&A. This channel, this stream, Barry opens every single day at 9 Eastern every day. He runs it till 3. Great resource, great knowledges, the scans that Barry shares, the things he goes over, his patience, his ability to trade while helping people out is second to none. So, do yourself a favor, get involved in the traders room, in the live streams, and, all of our education. All right, everybody, quiet in the panel still, so I'll shut it down for the day. Everybody, you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday evening, and I will catch you all back here tomorrow to wrap out my week at 3:30 Eastern. Take care. Bye-bye.